Gale Force Nine has announced a summer release date for their new Star Trek board game, Star Trek Ascendancy, which was announced, I think, earlier, but we still don't really know anything about it. But we do know it's coming out this summer. My guess is Gen Con, and it's a big old box. It's got, I think they said 200 miniatures in it.
Ooh, so we already know this is going to be very expensive.
Big and expensive, and looks like it spans all the TV shows. It has multiple captains from different series on top of it. Or what I assume it's going to be is what they did with Firefly, which is you're not playing as Picard or Worf or whoever.
It's not like you're going through the actual story of Star Trek. It's more of we've taken everything from Star Trek and had it meld nicely together.
Yeah, and I don't know if that may not be what it is, but that's my guess, and I kind of hope it's like that.
I would too, because the Firefly game, which does that, I think for us, we happen to think it does a very perfect job of capturing, I think, the world of Firefly.
Yeah.
Without, I think, destroying the story. I still feel like that. In fact, so much, because I'm sure we say 100 times how everything's related, usually back to Star Wars, how other things would be awesome to mix in with the Firefly is other characters or weapons and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So in my head, it makes perfect sense to have, like, here's your captain, you got a weapons guy, you can just choose design strip. And Star Trek is about the mingling of species and coalition. So it isn't weird if you have, a Ferengi as your...
No, I think it makes even more sense than Firefly, because Firefly is really, it was one season of a TV show and a movie, whereas Star Trek has so much lore to build on.
And the other thing I think that's really nice is I feel like you don't have to make it a reskin of Firefly, because if you haven't watched Firefly, spoilers, it's sort of, I would call it a Wild West in space.
Very much so, yeah.
And the game captures that feeling. Star Trek is not a Wild West of space. And I think the game can show that. It doesn't have to be just simple little missions like doing small bounties for money. It can more capture that experience of more negotiating or, exploring and stuff. And I think that would be a very good thing to make it stand apart from the Firefly franchise, Gale 9 franchise.
Yeah, I agree. More researching and communication with things like that.
Like less hide and seek with the Raiders and the I forget what the central ship's called. The
Alliance.
The Alliance.
I mean, there's
cruiser.
still going to be, well, I don't know.
Right.
It depends what era they take this in, because, like, for a while, Klingons are the enemy, and then
that's the thing. I think you can make different scenarios to do
that's
that.
probably true.
And then you could do things, though, that would be like you have a political track meter or something. So you'd be like, I want to go through there, but we could get into trouble and start a war, which causes detriment, or maybe you lose the game.
Now, the one weird thing about this game,
right.
On the box, it says 3 players, period. So, according to unless there's alternate rules, 3 players.
Have a game
only
that has that too.
Yeah, it's not something you see often.
Well, yeah, it's very rare because, first of all, it's very hard to adjust. Like, I mean, for us, not for the designer.
It's rare that you ever see just one number.
Right.
But for that number to be, if it's any, it's usually maybe like 2, but 3 just seems so. Why is it not 4? Like, I'm very curious to find out how this plays.
Because the game that I have that is 3, it makes sense because the game itself is based on the Romance of the Three Kingdoms in China, which, if you can guess in the title, there were 3 kingdoms. Oh. And it really, like, to capture it, you need 3 people to control each group. Star Trek, I don't know that. It doesn't feel like there's always the 3.
There's definitely different, factions and stuff.
Yeah, so it's definitely interesting to see what comes from it.
I wonder if it's just, I mean, my only guess would be that based on how complex the game is, how the game plays, that's just how many components they could fit in the box. But then, even then, why wouldn't it be 2 to 3? Why 3? Well, it could be like one of those things where, not a good example, but like in a hit and roll game, it doesn't work with 2 players. You need like that. So maybe it's something like that. You just need to have a third person to balance it.
Well, the other thing is, we spent the last few minutes talking about comparing it to the Firefly game from Gale 9, but that doesn't have that many miniatures in it. It has like what?
No, just
6?
the ships, and that's it. There's there's like 6 or 7 maybe.
Excluding expansions.
Right.
So it's very interesting to see what will come of this.
Yeah.
But we're definitely going to check it out if it is.
Ascendancy. And Gale Force 9, we like them a lot, as we said.
Yeah.
We like Firefly. But
No, I mean, a lot of their games that I can think of are copyrighted, but as far as I know, every time they've hit it out of the park with
I
it.
think all of them, or maybe at least most of them.
Yeah, but like each one you can think of, usually fans of said show tend to find it a good experience.
They have a good track record.